is the PlayStation 5, and we are going to break it. So not only are we going to see what's inside the box, but we're also going to tear this thing apart. Look at the size of this box. Okay, wow, what a nice unboxing experience. So if you've actually seen, we've done an entire video on the DualSense already, and we may or may not have broken that one as well. Is it a bad look that all the PlayStation videos we do, it just ends in destroying things? This makes the fat PS3 look reasonable. Are you kidding me? I hope you got room, cause it's big. I almost called it a big Chungus, but I didn't because I've used my Chungus card enough today. So, for the obligatory size comparison, we have the Xbox Series S, which is funny, and then we also have the Series X. So, the PlayStation 5 is big, but why is it so big? Well, there's only one way to find out. Watching the official PlayStation Teardown video. The second best way to find out is to continue watching this video as I rack a PS5. Oh yeah, that's why you need the stand, huh? Woo, look at that. Look, I'm not gonna be the guy who tells you that size doesn't matter, because it definitely matters if you're a PlayStation 5. One of the things that's interesting about the PS5 is that it's supposed to be easy to open up the side panel. Okay, so the PlayStation 5 is very easy to remove the side panel. I definitely just scratched it. Oh my God, can you see this? You see the size of that scratch I just put on? Look at that. Well, this is going well, isn't it? As you can see, the side panel of the PS5 is very easily user removable. So easy, toolless, brainless as well, obviously. Oh, look at that. That is how to do it. Gently grasp it. So immediately it's clear that they're going for a different cooling approach compared to the Series X. So you can see that we have what I believe is a 120mm fan, but you actually have clearance on both sides. You can see it's open on this side as well as this side. So if you compare this to something like the Xbox Series X, which uses honestly just a much more complicated way of cooling off the console. So you have dual motherboards, you have a mid plate, you have vapor chambers, it's very complicated. Whereas with the PS5, it seems like Sony's opted to go for a cheaper and simpler approach, and the downside there is just simply the console is bigger. Now you might wonder, why has Sony made it so easy to remove the side panels of the PS5? Well, a big reason for that is that not only can you clear out dust from these little traps, but importantly, you can also upgrade the SSD. So behind this little panel, we should see that there is an M2 slot. So right here, we have a slot for a PCI 4.0 SSD. Now, as we're recording this video, you can't do anything here yet. So the idea will be long-term, once it gets a firmware update at some point, that you'll be able to easily upgrade the storage of your PS5 without needing to buy some kind of proprietary memory card like you do on the Xbox. The main downside to upgrading your PS5, as I accidentally screw my hand, is that you need a very fast SSD. So you need to be not only PCI 4.0, but in theory at least, you need it to be Sony compatible. So we actually can't test it since it doesn't work right now. But stay tuned to make sure to subscribe to the channel, because we will be taking a closer look at what kind of SSD options and how you can upgrade the storage on your PS5. All right, let's plug it in and see. Can you actually run it without the sides on? Oh, I see. Oh yeah, that fan's spinning. You can absolutely do this. Should you? Probably not. But as far as the PlayStation is concerned, it doesn't care, or it doesn't even know, I guess, if you have the sides on. What's interesting is, so I can definitely feel that it definitely pushes all of that air, which it sucks in through this way, through the fan and out the back. There's like a good little breeze back here. So what it seems like for the cooling solution is that all of the cooling is happening on the top half of the console, which kind of makes sense because on the bottom half, you mostly have the disk drive and I assume the power supply. Oh yeah, that works. Okay, so if your PS5 is overheating, you can take the side panels off. You might get dust in there, and it's probably not recommended, but technically that works. You know kids are gonna do that.
How much do you actually take this apart? Like,
yes is the answer, Matt. There's probably a very elaborate way to do this. I'm just gonna start unscrewing things. All right, there we go. Warranty is void. There we go, all right. So a little note, if you decide to tear your own PS5 apart, they have a lot of screws and they're all different, like all of them. I'm 12 screws in, now let's remove the fan. Riveting content, watching Austin Evans label each individual screw so he's not an idiot and knows how to put it back together. So I think those are all the screws. So, well, that comes out easily. Now the fan, oh wow, that just comes out. Wow, I can just feel the breeze. I mean, I feel like this fan weighs like half an Xbox Series S. So the fan basically is pushing that air right through those heat pipes. So far, so good. Let me pull this little cable loose. The shroud has given up, and we have more shroud. There we go. Okay. So the optical drive should just come loose now. That's actually a very oddly large drive. So of course, this is what you use to watch Blu-rays, 4K Blu-rays, as well as their proprietary 100 gig format or whatever they use for PS5 discs. Do you see this? Look how tiny this little bit of the heatsink is. Look, it just pops out on this side. So next, I'm going to remove these, what I assume are antennas for Wi-Fi, probably like Bluetooth. I guess we can start on doing the, oh my God. All right, if these are all different sizes, I'm gonna be labeling screws all night long. Let's get started, shall we? Look, these are famous last words. I will say so far, this has been fairly easy to get into. At no point have I felt like I was about to break something. Okay, well, I'm just gonna take it apart. So you mean I'm almost done? I hear nothing but positive things right now, man. This is what a PS5 is supposed to look like, I think. So after removing a couple of dozen screws, we finally have the heat shield off, or the shield off. Wait, that's not part of the heatsink at all. They have a separate heat pipe on the back. So this also serves as a heatsink for the back of the PS5. So taking a look around here, this looks to be the SSD, or at least that's what I assume is the SSD. It's fairly close to the M2 slot. And then if we slide things over a little bit, you can get a little bit of a better look at the GDDR6 memory, specifically 16 gigs of it on the PS5. Now something else interesting, I believe, if you can see this little guy right here, I believe that is the Wi-Fi chip. And something unique about the PS5 is that this actually has Wi-Fi 6, unlike the PlayStation 4 and of course the Xbox Series X and Series S, all of which have the older Wi-Fi 5. Just a nice little feature. Now, I think the board should just come out. Oh ho ho ho! I've got a lot more screws to undo, don't I?
Yeah, you do.
That is a bizarre looking heatsink. So you actually had these little like cross heat pipes. Do you even PlayStation, bro? So what's left inside the chassis is almost entirely the power supply, which is 370 watts. So that's actually a pretty beefy power supply. I can't imagine the PS5 actually needs that. But you can see if the overall volume of the PS5, the power supply takes up a pretty huge chunk of that. It's fine, it's fine. It's not going anywhere. It's fine. We can pretty quickly undo the last couple of screws. The only problem is, it likely is going to be terminal. So on the underside of this heatsink, there is thermal compound specifically known as liquid metal. Liquid metal is something which has never really been used before, and certainly a game console, and really in most electronics. And basically, we can't really put it back on. So if I take this off right now, we're probably never going to have this PS5 up to the same cooling. I might try some normal thermal compound to see, but this is the point of no return. As soon as I flip this over, liquid metal might go everywhere. That is still firmly attached. So the back half of the board is free. Whatever they're doing to keep that liquid metal attached is absolutely what's holding the board in right now.
Yeah, so that
Got it. Yep, okay. That, my friends, oh no, don't leak, don't leak. There we go, all right. So that is the inside of PS5. So the main star of the show here is absolutely that liquid metal. So if you see, if I lean it in, it actually runs. Do you see that? Look at that, that is liquid metal. So essentially that is what is interfacing between the SoC of the PS5 and this heatsink, which of course is on the other side. I'm not gonna flip this over because it will absolutely go everywhere. So interestingly, what they're doing, so one of the main disadvantages of using liquid metal, and one of the main reasons why it's not typically used, is because it is literally liquid metal. So if it goes everywhere, it would short things out, cause tons of problems. So you can see when I opened it up, the liquid metal actually went all off to one side. That foam barrier kept it from actually reaching the board, because if this liquid metal touches any of this, you are in major trouble. I just so happen to have an Xbox Series X SoC, don't ask, and if I put that side by side, you can see the difference in the PS5 SoC versus the Xbox Series X. This just simply is bigger, which makes sense because essentially how they're getting the performance out of the PS5 is they're throwing liquid metal at it, they're throwing this huge heatsink at it to try to keep it cool because they're running at such high clock speeds. That, my friends, is what is inside a PlayStation 5. Make sure to subscribe to the channel for more PlayStation content, where probably fewer PlayStations will be harmed. And if you'll excuse me, I am now going to go spend all night putting this back together. I labeled these, right?